This is the 2010 Fandamonia Sports Year in Review. We're going to talk about 4 stories that we feel were the major stories in 2010. First, we're going to talk about the highly publicized decision. Now, from somebody like myself personally, I didn't see it as much of a big deal, seeing as though I had the feeling that Mr. LeBron James was going to leave anyways. But around here, being in Ohio, being in Northeast Ohio, especially in the Akron area, it was a very big deal. A lot of people took this hard, and the reason I feel was taken so hard, not only for the fact of how the decision was made, was due to the fact that you had one city had all their title hopes in one man. It's not like the Browns are doing good, the Indians ain't doing good. If the Browns or any of them were doing good, maybe the LeBron thing wouldn't be as big of a deal. Now, the nation took offense on how he did it, which I guess if he wasn't raising money for charity, wouldn't have been a big of a deal. But, he raised money for charity. I already felt he was going to leave. No big deal. The man has a right to leave. I've left jobs to better my family before. You go where you want to go. The only thing I look at it as is the legacy issue. Does he tarnish his legacy? Because we already know Dwayne Wade proves he won a title. He won a title by himself. He can carry a team on his back. The way I look at it is in 2 ways. The fact that no matter how many championships LeBron wins from now on, it's almost like he's Scottie Pippen. Okay, and the thing that LeBron should have really looked at is the fact that you can win 6 titles in Miami, but if you would have won 1 title in Cleveland, you would have been more than legendary. You would have been godly. They wouldn't have been calling you King James. They'd have been calling you Zeus James, because you brought the first title to this area, not just the city, the area, since 1965. So that's something you probably should have thought about. The other thing is, which I know you don't feel that much because you think, Akron loves you, which there's still a lot of love in Akron for you, but it's something Art Modell said. Art Modell, the villain of this area that took the Browns away to Baltimore and all that, he, till this day, is an 81-year-old man, regrets the decision every day, he says. He was quoted as saying that because he can't return to his hometown. He don't feel safe enough to go to his hometown. He said until the day he dies, he's always going to regret it because he never feels he can go back to Cleveland. Now, you're still living in Bath, which is a nice suburb of Akron and stuff like that, but the love you have had in this area will never be the same. It's not like Brett Favre going to the Vikings and coming back. He won his Super Bowl. He was a Packers legend. He went to the Vikings. Yes, he was hated, but it was only a couple years in the twilight of his career. You're in the prime of your career. You could have became a god in this area. Down in Miami, you'll still be a great player, but you just scratched away any chances of ever getting up in that greatest of all time or legendary status. Second story, one of the second stories of 2010 that was big was a continuation from 2009, which was the Tiger Woods situation. Now, me personally, I don't think it's a big story due to the fact of his situation with his wife and all his adultery and all that, because that's the man's personal business. As a sports fan, I try not to get wrapped up in personal business of the athletes I watch. The surprising was the on the course trying to pick up the pieces and how much it affected his golf game. You watched, every time you would turn on that television and watch Tiger Woods, you watched a man who was the most dominant athlete in his sport maybe we've ever seen that could not win a tournament. Went a whole year without winning a tournament this year. Was close in a couple. He was even recently, at the end of 2010, had a 3-shot lead going into the final round and lost the tournament. We've never seen that from the dominant athlete. Maybe it's the fact that people aren't as scared of Tiger anymore. Maybe the intimidation factor isn't there. But the fact that his dominance showed a little nick. Now, he'll come back. It might be half a year. It might be after the Masters. It might be at some point in time this year in 2011 Tiger will be back. But it was just amazing to see that in 2010 how far he had fallen.